went away for a few years, and then to be honest with you, we weren't sure if the appetite was still there for it, which I know sounds incredibly odd, but there's lots of great events have kind of fallen by the wayside. So we were kind of sat there going, bring it back. And so I eventually just went, yeah, let's do this again. I think that there's this, we were always getting questions and messages sent on our socials, even though we've been really inactive on social media for like 3 or 4 years because we weren't sure what we were going to do with it. So yeah, Gigantic's back. We're already working on 2026.
Welcome. We are Neil,
Luke and Dave.
340-somethings reminiscing on the runners and riders of 90s guitar music.
We look at the bands who soundtracked our youth on both sides of the pond and interview some of our heroes from the bands that defined a generation.
You'll hear about the good, the bad and the ugly of 90s guitar music.
This podcast is Stupid and Contagious. Episode 80, the Stupid and Contagious podcast, the big 80. 20 more and then we're done, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah.
Today we're talking to Richard Maides, who some of you may know. Most of you probably won't know by name, but he is the organiser of the gigantic festival, or All DAYER, which is on in May in Bristol this year. For most of its run, it's been in Manchester, but it's moved to Bristol this year for reasons that he explains in the podcast. But yeah, we're chatting to him later. It's a really nice chat about music and the festival in general. No, the festival and music in general.
How did you come to find him and decide to interview him?
I've been following like the festival for a while, and I just thought we'd get him on, see how it all came together, and obviously our listeners, a perfect target audience. So yeah, so we're talking to him in a bit. But before that, what's everyone been up to? Dave, let's go first with the Berwick news. What's been going on?
He won't give it up, will he?
Well, I'll tell you what though.
Oh, here we go.
These horses outside our field, our garden.
Yeah.
They've ruined our fence. They keep scratching their bums on our fence. And Victoria keeps messaging the woman who owns the horses to deal with it. And she just says, yeah, I'll come round and put a fence up. And she just never does. So a feud is brewing.
Oh,
right.
Trouble.
Patience is wearing thin. Bum rubbers, those horses. Bum rubbers, aren't they?
What are you going to do? Poison them?
I don't know, man.
Put some Tabasco or something on the fence post so when they rub their arse up it.
That's genius, Luke. That's brilliant.
Why don't you rub your ass against their ass?
Yeah.
I don't need to.
Rub your asses on the woman's fence and see how she likes it.
Do that.
Yeah. That's more
ass
appropriate,
rub
isn't it? Yeah. Thing is, we don't know where she lives.
They just have to do every house in the village, and you'll be right eventually.
I think that's the solution. That's the only real solution.
Well, yeah, two good ideas.
Fight fire with fire.
You're welcome.
There you go. Luke, what have you been up to?
Went out to a gig on Saturday. It was quite good.
Who was it? Will we have heard of him?
No, just Japanese like hardcore kind of screamo band.
Right,
it's pretty good. Yeah. Main band was called Kalakri from up north in Aomori. Pretty intense, good stuff, man. Yeah.
Who'd you go with?
I went with a mate of mine. Yeah, Rob.
This same mate that you always talk about. That we don't really know who he is.
No, it's a different one. Yeah,
right.
His name's Rob Lowe.
Oh, like the Rob Lowe.
Like the Rob Lowe. Yeah. Yeah. And also, tell you what else I've been doing since after you mentioned watching Bullseye last week.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist going on YouTube and watching a few Bullseyes.
It's good, isn't it?
It's fucking amazing, man. It's amazing.
Yeah. Did you see how old the audience was?
The audience were told that you said everyone was ugly, which was true. But it's not only everyone looked like a fucking sex pest.
Yeah.
Well, even the women.
That was the general look in the 80s, I think.
Exactly. I was sitting there thinking about, everyone saying like Jimmy Savile hiding in plain sight. Well, of course he did. Everyone looked like that. Everyone looked like a nonce.
But they caught this guy who was a sex pest, and he was actually on Bullseye.
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the best prize?
The best prize is, and it wasn't even like it's like the one at the end. It was just like for hitting the bull on the prize board was a jet ski.
Oh, that's
what?
Right.
Yeah.
When we watched, it was cutlery.
Yeah.
For Bully's special prize.
So as well as like everyone looked like a nonce, casual homophobia, casual sexism, even a bit of transphobia in there. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, that's the podcast. What about Bullseye?
Nicely done. On this one, like they have like their scripted things they say at the beginning, right? Which is so boring, but they have these like scripted stories. So this one, these two blokes, and he was talking about his job at a warehouse or whatever, and he's like, "But I tell you what, Jim, what I really want to do is be a landscape gardener." And then his mate pipes up. He always was a bit of a pansy. And everyone laughed. But obviously, like that had been written by the producers of the show, right? They were made to say this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I told you about this other joke. I said it on another one. He said there's that they had a larger woman on there, and she said, I've been doing a sponsored sort of weight loss for the last couple of months, and Jim piped up, "How much do you owe them?"
So good. Casual misogyny. My favourite of the one I saw in the Stunner prize board. It was like in 3, Jim says replacement for the wife, and a picture of a rowing machine comes up on the screen. And he's like, "Oh, hang on, I thought it said rowing machine."
It's brilliant, isn't it?
It's a good joke, to be fair.
It's a good time capsule, that program, of what it was like.
I was thinking about it. Someone needs to do like an academic ethnography of that. It's like probably the most consistent like representation of like working class people on TV, for such a long period.
But who else would do that but you?
Yeah, I might have to. It'll be my next research project. Yeah.
What score did the professional darts player get?
I watched a few of them actually, and no one's got 301. I've watched like 4 episodes. Good. No one's got anywhere near 301.
No,
yeah,
they never do. They're miles away from it.
I reckon I could have been a professional darts player in the 80s.
Back in the 80s,
so shit.
Yeah. It was dominated by Bristow, wasn't it, and John Lowe or whatever, or someone else.
Bobby George.
Probably, Bobby George. If the rest of them were that good, then I'm not surprised that they won everything. Had no competition. What have I been up to?
Go on in.
Not a lot this week, really. But I am going to see Smash on Thursday.
Oh,
really?
Where? Dublin Castle. Dave, do you want to come? Because I might be able to get you on the list as well.
Yeah, I'll come.
All right. Well, I'll see if I can. I'll speak to Ed after this.
Ed's going to be too shy to meet his hero.
I know. He might not. Yeah, he might not agree to it.
Yeah, he's too nervous.
That's on Thursday, so Dublin Castle will be good.
Good on you, lads. That'll be fun.
Apart from that, nothing really to report.
I was just going to ask if either of you had watched the finale of Cobra Kai.
I haven't seen it for a while. I've got to do it though.
I'm still a few seasons behind.
Yeah, don't ruin
It's good.
It.
We've had
it's emotional. It's good though.
So they bring Mr. Miyagi back from the dead.
Yeah.
Is it good though? I mean, is it worth?
It's really good. It's really good. Yeah.
Happy ending.
Highly recommended. Well, I don't want to give it away, but
just say, is it happy ending or not?
It's a good redemption arc, let's say.
Oh, good. I only like happy endings.
It's a happy ending. Don't worry.
It's been had a good run, hasn't
it? Yeah, really good.
Yeah. I like it when they end things properly.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they end Stranger Things. I'm a bit worried.
Yeah, can't be
I'm a
bothered
bit
with
worried
that now.
it's going to be awful this next bit, but we'll see. Could surprise us.
11's 40.
Right. So, should we get into this week's episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it. Before we get into our interview guest, I did say that I'd read out reviews if people left some. People have been finding it.
Yeah.
It's not just us. People have found it really difficult to work out how to leave reviews. Maybe it's just a flaw in the way podcasts are set up. I don't know. But I got a message on not on Facebook, on YouTube, from Christian Matty 2734. He said, "Bad news is there's no review process on Spotify or YouTube, so that's bollocks." That he said.
Yeah.
The good news, he told a guy he knew to have a listen, and he says it's really good. So there you go.
Can't argue with that. Really good. That's the review. That's pretty good, eh?
We did actually
It's
get
really
an actual review. I can't remember where I found it, but I found a new review. This is from Danny Core, and he said, "Stumbled across this podcast recently after hearing Luke's interview with Stuart from Mogwai. Great listen! ! I've since dug through the archives and listened to many others. Clearly a great connection between Neil, Luke and Dave. Great comedy as well as interesting topics discussed relating to music, film and everything else. Also enjoying the What's Been Happening in Berwick feature. Love it,
Fuck
chaps."
off. You
It's
wrote
now
this.
officially a feature.
This is bullshit.
When you said it was Danny, I thought it would be. He was going to say it was Dyer.
No,
Danny
not
Dyer.
Well, it
Danny
could be.
Core. Do you think it's the lost core brother from the Cores?
Possibly. It's spelled CAW. There you go. I told you that feature was worth pursuing.
I mean, yeah, it'd been pretty going downhill recently, but I think it's revived with Dave's horse story this week.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a bit. There's life in it still.
It is a bit hit and miss, but you know when it hits, great comedy as well as interesting topics. There you go. I think that's
absolutely no
subjective.
idea what that could possibly be referring to.
There was that one episode where we had a good laugh. I can't remember. What
Yeah,
Was it?
we did. Yeah.
Yeah, but there you go. You know, there's a couple of nice ones there, so I appreciate
Feels
that.
a bit needy now. You know, we've asked for reviews,
Yeah,
get
we're
some good
begging
ones
for
and read them
reviews.
out. It's a bit shit, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe we won't do this every week, but now we know that it is quite difficult to leave reviews, but please do, if you can, leave a review. If you are watching this, then please do subscribe to the channel. We are cruising towards that 1,000 subscribers.
Trying to think of it.
930 today.
Oh,
So,
that is good.
you
That
know,
is cruising.
yeah, we are getting there.
Yeah.
So please do subscribe and get involved in the comments. Let us know if you're going to the Gigantic Festival, or just let us know your thoughts on the interview, etc. Get involved in the comments.
But what happens when we reach 1,000? That's what everyone will want to know. Why do they keep going on about the magic 1,000?
It's just a goal.
We just close the podcast down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you are listening, then please do try and leave a review, even though it seems like it's not as easy as the first thought. But yeah, just share it with your friends. Word of mouth's always a good one. Like old Christian Matty 2734. He told his mate about it. He liked it. So that's how it works, isn't it? We've got an app, Dave's Stupid app. Still need some
Bit
more
rude.
Android testers. So
You worked hard on
email-
that. What the fuck, man?
He called it the Stupid app. He could have called it
That's the
anything.
name. Okay. Sorry.
That's the name of the app.
Sorry. Okay. I was
I
just trying
like
to
that it's
defend your
called the
honour,
Stupid
Dave.
app. We still need some Android testers. So if you can email us at stupidandcontagiousPodcast@gmail.com, I'll pass those on to Dave and he will, I don't know what he's going to do with them, but do that. You can also sponsor the podcast. If you're a band, a record label, I don't know, you've got a dedication to make
Chip
to
shop.
someone. Chip shop.
Yeah, be like you used to have in the cinema in Eastbourne, like the carpet shop down the road or the curry
Anything
house.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
Windows. anything.
Yeah. Double glazing.
25 quid at the moment, you know, and we'll stick you in the show notes. If you're a band, local, give you a review, give you a shout out at the start of the podcast. So yeah, you can still do that. Email us at stupidandcontagiospodcast@gmail.com.
And if you pay extra money, I'll say anything you want me to say in the review.
There you go. There you go. So let's get into this week's guest, Richard Maides. Sorry if we've said your name wrong. We think we've got it right, but who runs a gigantic fest. Luke, have you got a bit of a thing on the festival?
I do. I couldn't find much about Richard himself, although I kind of found myself looking at his LinkedIn page, made me feel a bit of a creep, you know, as if I was like stalking him. So I felt a bit guilty about that. But basically, he's been a gig promoter for over 30 years. Started out as an Ents manager at Hull, University of Hull, and then University of Liverpool. Bit like Chijinder, right? That's how he started out.
Yeah. That's a good route into the music industry if you've University Ents people, I think.
Did various jobs at Academy Music Group, which I think runs a lot of these big academy venues around the UK. And he talks about it in the interview. But he worked with Manchester Academy a lot. I think he's semi-retired. He kind of alludes to in the interview, and I found like another kind of page with the company that he works for called Ghostwriter Consultancy, which I think he works for them in some capacity. And
I think I'm semi-retired.
Sure, why not?
You haven't started your work career yet.
No, I don't do. I work here and there, but I don't work every day. So,
that's the way to do it, man. That's the way to do it.
Semi-retired.
Everyone should be.
Yeah, I like
Love
it.
to be.
I'm going to go for a swim after this. Because I'm semi-retired.
Do people know why? Because you're, you're by trade, you're a wedding videographer, right?
Yeah, so it's quite seasonal.
You get the winter off, basically.
Pretty much 4 or 5 months off over winter, yeah. Although it's not ideal this year. I haven't really got enough weddings booked, so I'm even more semi-retired.
Why don't you pay us 25 quid and ask people on the podcast if they need a wedding video?
Well, if anyone is getting married, then yeah, I know a good wedding videographer.
Who is it?
Neil Collins Films he's called. www.neilcollinsfilms.com.
But that's your. That's your.
Like Trump speaking about yourself in the third person.
Yeah. Oh man,
that's me all over.
I think that's all I know about Richard, except for also on the website, everyone in their crew, they list their top 5 albums. Do you want to know, according to whatever that company's website is, Richard's top 5 albums? Well, these are the albums he said, I guess, on the day that they asked him.
Go on.
In no particular order. It's a pretty good list, actually. KLF, Chill Out.
Oh, great album. Yeah, good.
Yeah. One for you, Neil. Talk, Spirit of Eden.
Oh, that's not my favourite album, but Talk, that's still good, isn't it? Yeah.
He talks about them in the interview. Human League, Dare is in his list.
I like Human League. Been listening to Human League this week. Human.
Yeah.
Good song.
I'm Only Human. Again, we talk a little bit about goth in the interview. So we got Sisters of Mercy, First and Last and Always.
Sisters of Mercy are crap. What's that?
I've had that in my head as well since seeing this list earlier. What did that come from?
You used to say it all the time, I'm sure.
I know. I don't know where it came from.
No one does.
No one does. And the 5th one is Underworld, Dub No Bass from a Headman. That's a pretty cool list.
It's a good list. Yeah, it's a very good list.
After listening to the interview, I wouldn't have predicted any of those.
No.
Except maybe Human League.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to talk about the festival itself. So it ran from 2014 to 2019. Although I couldn't find any information about the 2018 ones. I don't know if there was one that year or not. Anyway, so it started 2014. I'll take you through some of the bands that have played. And as I say in the interview, a lot it's like looking at our archive list. So first one, Frank and Walters, Sultans of Ping, Cud, all played. Also, Chameleons, Wedding Present, and Neds Atomic Dustbin. In 2015, Echo and the Bunnymen, in Spiral Carpets, Pop Will Eat Itself, as well as Gang of Four, Hurricane Number One, Primitives, Milltown Brothers.
Hurricane Number One.
Really?
Yeah, I like
My
that
World.
song.
I know that song.
Yeah.
That's the only one I like. Yeah.
Well, that's the only one I really know.
It's a good song, though.
Yeah, it's
Do you know the Milltown Brothers?
Well, yeah, I've heard of them. I don't know much of their stuff.
I hadn't heard of them, but I picked up a record of theirs a few months ago just because people had mentioned it on the Facebook
They're held
group, and
in
it was it was cheap.
quite high esteem.
It's a good record. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, no,
Slinky,
I did email them trying to get them on, so maybe.
Okay.
Watch this space.
Cool. Yeah, it's good. 2016, Wonderstuff, Darling Bud, Smash, Back to the Planet, House of Love, Frank and Mortals Again, BMX Bandits, Bentley Rhythm Ace, Credit to the Nation, Menswear, Telescopes, Bivouac.
Is that all 1 year?
Yeah.
That sounds like a good one.
2017, EMF, Pop Will Eat Itself, Jim Bob, 1,000 Yard Stare, Wedding Present Again, Mark Morris from the Blue Tones.
I stood next to someone from 1,000 Yards Stare at Glastonbury 2004.
Tell us the story. I think you've told this already. Tell it again.
Yeah, well, I can't remember who we were waiting to watch, but it was in front of the pyramid stage, I think. And we're just talking to this guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I played Glastonbury years ago." I'm like, what? He goes, "Yeah, I was in a band called 1,000 Yards Stare." That's the story, basically. Yeah.
Dave, what's your verdict on the band name 1,000 Yard Stare?
It's all right.
Isn't that something to do with war? Isn't that what you get when you're in war?
War. Yeah.
No, it becomes like, when you get like PTSD or whatever, it's 1,000 Yard Stare. I think that's right. Could be wrong.
Makes sense.
Don't know what happened in 2018, but in 2019, Echo and the Bunnymen are back. Wonderstuff again. Blue Tones, I guess all of them. Jim Bob, Juliana Hatfield, Jesus Jones, Crazy Head. Yeah, so basically loads and loads of people that we've had on the podcast, right? So
yeah.
He's the perfect guest for Stupid and Contagious, right?
That's what I thought. That's going back to Dave's earlier question. Yeah, we just thought it'd be a really interesting guy to have on. And he is.
Well, they all happened in Manchester. And so it's been revived after a break of 6 years, and it's relocated to Bristol. And the 2025 lineup is in Spiral Carpets, Neds, Jim Bob, Soup Dragons, Northside, and the Darling Buds. And it's got Bez doing a DJ set as well. So if that's your bag, as he says in the interview in a moment, there's only a few tickets left. So get on it.
It's highly unlikely if you're listening to this podcast, it's not going to be your bag, isn't it?
Yeah. Come on.
If you haven't not already going, then and you can make it, then I would suggest going and getting a ticket.
And it's just a one-day event.
Plug.
You don't need to have this big weekend or anything. Just go down there, enjoy it, drive
Bristol's
back.
nice. Make a weekend of it.
Yeah. Go to my old haunts.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey.
You could do
Thekla.
like a tour, can't you? Like a Beatles tour of where you used to live.
I could do. And the bands I used to see and all of that.
There'll be a blue plaque there soon.
It probably will. Yeah. Podcast extraordinaire. Luke Lawrence.
Published author.
Published author. Keep calling me that. It's a weird thing to say.
Oh, you are. Published author. So's Dave.
Author sounds different. Like Dave's an author. I'm a researcher.
Outright.
Is
that better?
No, it's just different. Don't feel like an author because I'm,
Dave, do you feel like an author?
No.
You look like one.
You are.
I want to be one.
Listeners, Dave
in my
is.
50s.
Whilst we're plugging
I'm not
our
paying
own
for
stuff.
a plug.
No, whilst we're all plugging our own stuff.
Go to amazon.co.uk, type in David J. Webber, that's OOM, and you'll love it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still on there.
It's a good book.
It's great. It's great.
I haven't read it, but I've heard it's a good book. I don't read, do I?
I keep telling you that I'll teach you.
It's overrated. I got this far.
True.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's have a listen to the interview. Richard Maides, organiser of the gigantic fest. Is it the fest? Is it a festival or is it all DAYER?
Both.
All right.
Gigantic all-day festival.
Festival, not a fest.
Yeah, don't say a fest.
Yeah, sorry. Apologies. Well, here's the interview. Enjoy. Richard, thanks so much for coming on. Where are you zooming in from today?
I'm actually zooming in from my mother's house in Leicestershire. I'm not at home.
Oh.
Home is down in Worcestershire, but I'm over in Leicestershire for a few days. So yeah, the Midlands, basically, of the UK, Midlands of England.
Very nice.
Can we just start off if you could just tell the listeners who you are and what you do and why we've got you on, basically, just for people.
Yeah, you kindly asked me to come on and talk about Gigantic, I think. So
that's right.
I suppose I created Gigantic indie or DAYER as it was, and it's kind of just mutated to all DAYER to allow us to be a little bit more flexible musically over the years. That was about 11 years ago, 2014, I think, was our first, pretty sure. So I do that alongside promoting loads of other bands, and I've now gracefully moving towards semi-retirement, and so the things that I promote now are just purely for pleasure, as well.
Deservedly so.
I'm not the youngest spring chicken, so yeah. I've been doing this for about 30 years, so it's
that's a good
slowly heading towards the exit door.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you must be pretty busy getting ready for the festival. It's coming up on the 3rd of May. Yeah. How is everything? How are the preparations and everything going?
Really good. All the really, I get to do the really interesting stuff, and then there's some really great people that I work with that are going to worry about stuff that I don't understand, such as fine ales and ciders and great street food. I tend to drink cocktails, so fine ales and wines I wouldn't put me in charge of. So there's a load of work going into that, and people being spoken to, choosing what's going to be done in that on that side. Musically, talking to people, to be honest with you, it's going really, really well. Sales for the event are incredibly strong. Genuinely only have about 200 tickets left.
That's great.
So it's great. Reaction has been really good. We went away for a few years. So to be honest with you, just because COVID hit, we had a sadly had a loss in a team that originally helped create it, and that kind of curtailed. And then to be honest with you, we weren't sure if the appetite was still there for it, which I know sounds incredibly odd, but there's lots of great events have kind of fallen by the wayside. So we kind of sat there going, bring it back. And so I eventually just went, yeah, let's do this again. I think that there's this, we're always getting questions and messages sent on our socials, even though we've been really inactive on social media for like 3 or 4 years because we weren't sure what we were going to do with it. So yeah, Gigantic's back. We're already working on 2026.
Oh, brilliant. Back.
Yes.
And you made the switch from Manchester to Bristol. Why was that?
To be honest with you, and be completely honest with you and your listeners and those that are interested, I used to work sort of on behalf of Manchester Academy. So the event was originally created to take place for them and in Manchester, and it's a great location, Manchester. There, our relationship changed. I moved companies, and we became sort of more independent, which sort of sat well with what we were doing with Gigantic. But it was always our creation. And Manchester Academy were absolutely fantastic and said, "Hey, look, if you're going to produce it, you can do it away from us. But if you come back to Manchester, if you ever want to do it in Manchester, please do it at the Academy. So if we ever go back to Manchester, we will do it at the Academy. Great venue, great space outside, etc." But part of trying to find somewhere that was sympathetic to how I view Gigantic or the day was having a space which would allow us to really sort of let people relax, and Marble Factory allows us to do that. So that was part of the reason, finding somewhere that makes sense. Then we work with them regularly anyway, so we know the space really well. and it's got loads of extra indoor space and places for to sit down and relax. Great outdoor space, so we can do the things that the audience liked. So I'm hoping we're going to have some surprises with some nice ice creams. So because I like ice creams.
It's another great musical city as well, much like Manchester.
Oh,
Bristol's got a...
and fiercely independent as well, Bristol. You know, on every level, whether it's politically, creatively, you know, a great place to go. Lots of independent shops, and I feel that that's Gigantic's hopefully reflects a little bit of that as well inside.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Is the Marble Factory? Yeah, I was going to say, is the Marble Factory a new venue? I lived in Bristol back in the 90s, and I don't know that one.
It's well, so it's predominantly it's part of a site called Motion. Marble Factory is one half of the site, so the overall site, like for 4,000 people, is huge.
Wow.
They've been around for quite a long time. It's predominantly known Motion is predominantly known as a dance venue, so it's kind of very warehousing. Yeah, we started working the live events in. So the Marble Factory has been really, really active, doing sort of 80, 90 live gigs a year for the last 2 or 3 years. So you know, it's very busy. It's a great site. It's an interesting space as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
New one for me. Neil, go ahead.
Do you think, obviously you can't really tell where your ticket sales are coming from, do you think a lot of the younger people in Bristol will be coming along, like students and stuff, or do you think it's still going to be a majority of 90s lovers?
I think there's a there's a few artists that I work with outside of Gigantic, and the audiences are becoming even more broad ranging. I do a lot of work on Peter Hook and the Lie and a band called Chameleons, and their audiences are
Chameleons,
extremely broad now. You're getting 18, 20-year-olds coming alongside the original fans who are like, you know,
right,
age and older, I'm pleased to say. And I think the same is true of the interaction we're getting with Gigantic, certainly in terms of message. So I'm not saying that predominantly. I mean, I think that we're all probably wise enough to realise that it's going to be predominantly people of our generation.
That's all right, though.
I'm putting myself as being the older person in this conversation.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Or extremely well groomed. But I do think that with there'll be a number of people who are appreciating music of that era.
Yeah, that's good.
And I say that era loosely because what I found in the first couple of years with Gigantic in when we were doing it in Manchester, I kind of boxed it into a corner, and it became I was kind of like, oh right, it's defined as this period, which was a mistake. So we kind of tweaked the name slightly. So we're looking at trying to broaden out the artists that were involved. To sort of try and stretch it. And we certainly got to that point towards the tail end of time in Manchester where, we could have the Gang of Four on, but we could also the High on and, Eat and then going to sort of Milltown Brothers in the mid-90s and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I think it for the longevity of the event, which I hope will continue to run for many years beyond even my involvement, and I pass the baton on at some point in terms of programming it, that it will reflect the good of a wider sort of period, if you like.
Yeah.
Well, before we forget, if people are thinking of buying tickets, who can they expect on this year's lineup?
So this year's lineup features Darling Buds, who are popping over from South Wales, and then we have Northside, who are back after a bit of a hiatus, and then we've got Stoop Dragons. I'm really excited to see on. I tried really hard to get them to do shows in Manchester years ago when they reformed about a year and a half ago. I was like, Oh, that's good timing. Well, so and
days.
They were quite keen. They were keen to do it, so I'm really pleased about that. And we have obviously the Neds and the Spirals as well, which I think the Spirals are going to be fantastic. There's a lot of people who go, why have we put Neds on second headline and in Spirals? It should be the other way around. And I'm like, okay, you can't go all day and survive Neds. You need a little bit of rest to enjoy the Spirals. And we've got Bez and we've got Shine On DJs, and obviously we've got all of the other peripheral stuff, and obviously Jim Bob, who
yes, he's just a legend. So yeah, right?
It's kind of action packed, and everyone's getting decent set lengths. It's not one of these where Soup Dragons are coming on sort of 6-ish and getting 20-40 minutes. They're getting like a proper hour set. So all the artists get. But that's one of the things that we didn't want to ever compromise on. It was like if we put a band on and the fans come, and they might like 3 out of the 6 bands that we've got on that in May in Bristol, they get to enjoy that they're the artists that they've come to see, and then hopefully enjoy everything else as well. But that's kind of really important to us.
Yeah, no, I think that's the best way to do it. There's no reason to put bands on and just give them a really short set just so the last band gets like 3 hours or whatever.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's a much better way to do it.
Is there a reason why you limited it to a 1 day thing rather than a weekend?
To be honest with you, that kind of just grew out of tradition. I think that it was always one of the problems in terms of venues is getting availability, and we're trying to work. We're working a year, 18 months in advance at least. So it's making that commitment, and it's securing the dates, and you go having the confidence in the event to probably go to a second day is quite significant. And I think that it's also quite
a big leap, isn't it?
It's quite a leap of faith, and certainly with the way things have happened, certainly with the way things have gone post-COVID with a lot of events, whether they consider them urban festivals, urban 1 day or 2 day festivals, whether they're
urban festivals.
That became that thing 10, 15 years ago. Oh yeah, we're going to do an inner city festival. Oh, you just think you can
yeah.
Isn't it? I think to try and answer your point a bit more succinctly, I think at this point in time we wanted to test the water. That's something that could happen, and we're definitely open to suggestion. And if this year's event's well received, then let's see what happens in 2026.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Okay. We're going to ask you a bit more about Gigantic in a minute. Before that, though, can you tell us a bit about your own background in terms of music? So, I mean, what was I'm going to give you some quick fire questions. First album you bought?
So it's a question of, do I be honest or do I try and be cool?
Honest.
Always
you want honest. You want honest, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Right. So about 1978, K-Tel Records. It was a compilation called Midnight Hustle.
Oh,
I like the sound of it. Who was on it?
Absolutely awful. And then if I can sort of then slide in that the first album that I bought with my own money, if this counts, this was kind of, I had a gift voucher.
This will count.
That was the gift voucher. The one I bought with my money, where I saved up my 2s and 10p's, was Dare by the Human League.
Oh,
nice.
Okay.
I was listening to a bit of Human League the other day.
Yeah.
Still regularly on.
Who was on Midnight Hustle?
About 45 acts. You know when they used to get, with either of you old enough, where they used to like compress albums down so much that you'd end up with like 25 tracks on each side, and you get slightly different edits, but the recording quality was so bad because they read so many tracks onto
the squeeze the life out of it.
I mean, I think it might have like Knock on Wood by Anita Ward, is it? And maybe Eruption. I can hear Rain on whatever it was on I've still got it. It's proudly in my a special box of records which stays at my
Maybe you
parents'.
can drop it off to one of the DJs for a gigantic. They can squeeze it into their set.
You like pick 2 tracks to end the night with.
End your career. Okay. First gig you went to.
Oh crikey! Wham!
Honesty again.
These are great answers.
Club Fantastic
right.
Tour at Leicester and Montfort Hall.
Oh,
We were talking
amazing.
about Wham the other
And
day.
then the second one was a level 42 around the time of Hot Water. I mean, awful, I suppose.
That's all right. That's
Okay,
all right. I would
so
see
my
Status
next
Quo my
question-
first gig. I think.
There you go.
Sorry, what was that last one? Sorry.
Well, Neil's just saying he went to see Status Quo as his first gig, so I think
That's double dead.
is that better or worse than Wham? I don't know.
Oh no,
Oh,
come on!
no.
I mean, Quo. There's some great tunes there. I
Yeah,
remember.
but this was early 90s. This was they were.
Oh no, that's not good. No,
No.
That's not good.
So my next question then, was there a gateway band that kind of moved you into kind of the indie music direction?
Yeah, I think that I was really fortunate. My sister was 4 years older than me, was 4 years older than me, and so I was listening to her records quite a lot. And so I was listening to sort of late 70s, early 80s. I was listening to like Japan and Bowie and the Human League, early Human League, and all that kind of crap, etc. But the band that probably changed a lot of stuff for me was probably New Order.
Nice.
Probably more so than Joy Division. It was that definitely, I suppose, literally around the time of Power, Corruption and Lies, so Blue Monday, and then and probably The Cure as well, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
That was definitely a band that you were like, oh, hang on. But so they opened the doors to, oh God, there's the B-52s and there's Talking Heads, and then all of a sudden you're starting to listen to Peel more regularly and hear The Wedding Present and The House of Love and The Bunny Man.
Yeah.
So that was the transition, I suppose.
Must be a dream come true then, working with Peter Hook and that these days.
Yeah, absolutely. I regularly, I've always said to his manager, it's, I treat it as I'm very privileged to do what I've done for my career anyway, but to work with Hooky is pretty special, So you
do you still play his bass down by his knees?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, all over the place. It's as bouncy as ever. So it's fantastic.
I need to go
and they're so good live. It's Peach Hook and the Light, just fantastic, great stuff.
Yeah, they're playing at Shine On. I think they are. Sorry,
I think they're doing.
Are they your rivals? Oh yeah, Neil.
Oh no, we get on well with Shine.
Sorry.
Okay.
I think two guys that run Shine are good friends of ours. To be honest with you, after the first year where they kind of infiltrated Gigantic, to have a look round, see what was going on. But they're really good guys and they're really passionate about what they do. Definitely worth getting on if you've not spoken to them before, which I would imagine you have.
We haven't, no.
Yeah, no, but they're really good. They've got always got.
Enough about them. That was my fault.
Yeah,
I brought it up.
Yeah, come on.
We're back to
you.
Gigantic.
Next question: if we met you back in the day, what t-shirts were you rocking? What did you look like? What were you a goth or a Grebo or whatever?
Kind of slightly sort of football casual in the early mid 80s, I guess, but really badly because I haven't got the money to do it properly. And then very briefly, bad goth.
Bad goth is good. It's better than good goth.
Tight black trousers, winkle pickers, buckles on, silk shirts, Bauhaus t-shirt. That lasted about 6 weeks because I realised that I just looked stupid and I really wanted to wear my Adidas Gold and trainers again. But it didn't stop me loving the music. I realised that I loved all the music, but I wasn't that really into.
I'm the same. I've always been into goth, but I've never been a goth. Yeah, that's a brave.
I'm terrible. I'm a
absolutely.
I'm a rejuvenated goth alongside doing everything I do for Gigantic from a personal level. But
that's good.
Then I mutated into the wonderful world of stripy shirts.
Right.
Still rocking it.
Docs, and that lasted for probably a fair few years, and it was predominantly because I think I wanted to look like Miles Hunt.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
A larger, less attractive Miles Hunt.
You got the hair.
There was not quite as much of an ego as Miles.
We had Miles on. He was
lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's great, and I've done 2 or 3 shows with the Stuffies over the years, and they're fantastic. You know, they're still great. They headlined for us. I think 2000 and maybe 18 and 19. I can't remember now. And they're about. We would hope to get back at some point soon. So.
Yeah. And were you ever in a band yourself?
Yes.
Here we go.
Truly terrible. So if there's anybody watching this that went to Huddersfield Polytechnic in about 1988 to 1992, I was in a band with some really good friends of mine. We ended up being about a 6-piece, and we were truly awful. I mean, it was just most people knew who we were. We were sort of like loud, obnoxious kids around college. And we were called Manic Pop Thrill because I really liked that at the time.
Yeah.
And we went, that's a good name. That's cool. So we rehearsed for a few weeks. Bass player was brilliant. Drummer was fantastic. And a guy on guitar called Chris was really good. So we had the backbone, foundation of a good band, right? And then myself, a guy called Stuart, were added on as rhythm, 2 extra guitarists, just so we could be in the band. And Bob, our lead singer, who loved Neds and My Bloody Valentine, who unfortunately for Bob had quite affected hearing, so partially deaf. So we were truly awful, and we stole. And I had a set of demos, Wonderstuff demos. So half our set was ripping off Wonderstuff tracks that not many people had heard, like Oh Dear Deirdre and Bang Bang Rat-a-tat-tat.
Right.
Then we screwed around with tracks from that we liked. So Lola, because we all liked Cud at the time. So we're like, let's do a copy of the Lola, which is not theirs, and so on. And we did about 5 gigs. First one was really well attended. We sold more merch in advance of that gig than we sold tickets because people just wanted to buy the merch because I thought it was quite funny.
That's good.
And then we went on stage an hour late because Bob was scared to go on stage, so we ended up giving him some encouragement.
Happens stage fright. So hang on, you had 3 guitarists.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, one lead. We were. We only knew about me and Stuart only knew about 5 chords. But we sold a load of merch. We had a really good laugh. And then I realised that maybe I'd be better on the other side of the desk than playing the music. The music, I'd promote it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Just gave it a go.
Yeah.
So you say you've been doing promotion for whatever 30 years or whatever. What were the first bands that you were starting to promote?
First bands I ever booked. I remember first week I bought Kingmaker, Swerve Driver, The Orb, Revenge, which was one of Peter Hook's side projects from New Order. Cud, Radical Dance Faction. They were kind of my first bookings.
They're really big names. Yeah.
I was booking on behalf of Huddersfield Poly, but I was the social secretary, so I was just elected to this position. So I booked, and we had 2 or 3. We had 2 venues: Bridewell Taxis, 35 Summers. Some great stuff that came out of Liverpool. There was loads of great stuff that was just popping up out of Liverpool. Just, I suppose, like precursors to sort of, I suppose, Britpop. It was just 3 or 4 years ahead.
Yeah.
So you'll get bands like Scorpio Rising and Rain
Yes,
They were
yeah.
great bands. We were just a bit early, but yeah, that was a great learning curve booking at that age in a venue. Then I moved to Hull for a couple of years and started booking bigger bands, and that went on from that point.
There you go.
That's great.
Okay. So I think the original run of Gigantic went from 2014 to 2019. And I was kind of looking at a list of kind of the bands that have played over those years. It's almost like looking at the archives for our podcast. Can you just reel off a few of the names that have played the festival?
Blimey. Wedding Presents, House of Love, Chameleons, Wonderstuff, Neds, Eat, Jesus Jones, EMF, Gang of Four. Crikey, I should have written all
you
these
got to
down.
do all of them.
The High,
This is a test.
the High, Milltown Brothers. Who else did we do? I'm trying to think who else is the Bunnymen, obviously, which is a great show. They really did really smash it.
Yeah, I bet.
Echo Belly, Blue Tones. I mean, the list is quite
Yeah.
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 You know, we moved from sort of one stage to two stages to three stages at certain times. How I felt the event had been going and how you know how well we were doing. So,
can you remember who played the? Yeah, can you remember who played the first year? Sorry, that was me talking over you.
First year, no, that's fine. First year, Ned's headlined. I think the Wedding Present, Chameleons were on that bill. I think Primitives opened.
Man.
So yeah,
that's great.
Darling Buds might have been on, or they might be on the second year. But it was, I always remember having this one year where we were really, really chuffed because I managed to get Darling Buds, the House of Love, and the Wonderstuff on the same bill. So we managed to recreate the photo shoot from Melody Maker or NME that had the three of them from back in the day in about 1990,
brilliant.
89, where they were all like stars of the day. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Do you have any particularly memorable sets from over the years, either for good reasons or bad, or maybe one of each?
I think it was one that went under the radar, and I think it's still one that went under the radar, which was a bit of a shame, and that was the High. They hadn't performed live for a long time, and they were kind of, don't wish just to sound awful, they were kind of second division, I mean championship for some reason when Manchester was all happening. But they wrote brilliant songs, and Andy, who was originally in the Stone Roses, and John, who was a singer, they had some great tunes and they were great live. And we managed to convince them to reform, and they did this show. And they headlined the second stage one year. But I think that the one set that really was, for me, was quite special was, and I was looking forward to it, but I was kind of pleased it happened. It was the House of Love, because I spent
I love House of Love,
yeah, I couldn't make their dates work for a couple of years, and then eventually we got them on. And there was just a moment where the first chords of Christine sort of chimed out, and that was kind of really cool.
Oh, goosebumps!
But yeah, I think, I mean, loads of really great moments. You know, Bunnymen, Killing Moon, and Never Stop, and definitely up there. And the stuff is always, because it's just always a great show. And I love the incendiary pop songs is how I've always described the stuff is to people. In my mind, it's just like you don't get better than 3 minutes of a Wish Away, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Was
there a moment where you sort of stood there thinking, oh, yeah, this show I put on, this is good. This is a success. We can keep this going.
I think to be honest with you,
early on.
Yeah, really, to be honest, I would say so early on it was about the second hour of the first one.
Right.
And what was that point?
I mean, this is going to sound really flippant, but I've probably worked on many thousands of shows. I ran venues for over, and I'm still involved with venues for the best part of 35 years. So I've literally either promoted or helped produce by being a venue manager, literally many thousands of shows. You become a bit kind of not desensitized, but you could kind of get used to it. However, I've always said to everyone I've always worked with, sometimes take a minute to take a step back and enjoy something that you worked on. But that first Gigantic, one of the things I was really worried about was people coming down early. And it gathering momentum, because you always worry that the first couple of bands aren't going to have a great audience. But we got this really cool early uptake. So we had lots and lots of people outside mingling in what was untrustworthy weather, because it's in Manchester, which is one of the reasons I suppose Bristol's more attractive, because we're that much further south. We've got half a chance of having decent weather in
different weather system.
I think we got away with it 4 out of 5 years. It was quite nice. But there was a moment I looked down from I think a first floor window, and people were all smiling and having great times. And it was kind of a t-shirt parade. So literally everywhere you looked, there was a Ned shirt, there was a Stuffy shirt, there was a Cart shirt, whatever.
T-shirt bands, weren't they? Yeah,
it was t-shirt band, and it was like, and it still, I suppose, is. And I looked down and went, "Oh, great, that's worked. That's exactly how I imagined when I first thought of doing it, which was on a car drive between Norwich and Manchester." That's how it evolved.
Do you have any white whales? So a band that you've tried to book but never managed to snag?
There's a couple that we've tried for, and it's just not worked out timing wise. I've tried for St. Etienne a couple of times, and they remain on the hit list. I'd love to. I like to. I always try and want to put in 2 or 3 bands that we should try and introduce and keep the thing varied. And there's the dream lineup that I'd never achieve with bands that are either defunct or there's one band that we worked really, really hard to get, and it was really close, and then it didn't happen, and I was a bit gutted. New Fads.
Okay.
To be honest with you, it was kind of like a massive tick box, and that was for 2015. Because it kind of coincided with the 25th anniversary of Manchester Academy, and working with another promoter to try and make that happen. And he worked really hard to help me to try and make it happen. But unfortunately, the lead singer was going off, I think, to teach in the Far East. So we couldn't make it happen. But I just think that they're another one of the great live bands of that era that probably didn't get as much credit as they deserved.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Luke, did you just make that saying up, white whales? Because I've never heard that.
It's a phrase. It's like Moby Dick. It comes from. It's a literary reference, Neil.
I'm about to say that's definitely some level of intellect that's above me.
Right, so you didn't get it.
I'll go with the flow.
I thought that was like a normal thing. No,
only you're
a
published author.
I am a published author. That's true. We talk a lot on the podcast about nostalgia, and there seems to be a current trend for 90s bands, which I think has only increased since the festival was last on in 2019. I mean, what do you think about all of that?
I think it's good. I think it's great that bands are probably coming out of periods of inactivity and decided, actually, no, sod it, we're going to give it. I want to go out and play again. I've got some shows with EMF and Jesus Jones and Biss later this year.
Oh, are you doing that? That looks amazing.
Doing Bristol.
I went to see Jesus Jones EMF last year in London. It was just phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think the audience, I think people that knew, but then there was a load of, if you like, people who tried it and went, actually, really bloody good live and really enjoyed the show. But then there's a whole raft of bands that kind of have been treading those boards and continually doing it. But I think what's nice is that a lot of those artists are getting a greater levels of success than they did for a period of time. Where there's, I think it might be that something you touched on earlier on, where there's a new wave of fans that are appreciating what those bands did. Whether it's UK, US artists, whether it is 85 or 94 or whatever, that kind of period. But more importantly, I think what's possibly affecting it is that a load of people have gone through the parents' period of their life. Heavy work period of their life, and they're probably just going out a little bit more, and they're going, actually, maybe had a gig void for a few years ago. They go and see this stuff is in Bristol or London, because those shows sold really well for them last year. And then, Blue Tones have got a load of dates, and there's a lot of great stuff out there. People are going, hopefully going back to it.
We had the same kind of.
I think they're bringing their, I think they're bringing their kids along as well. Which
their kids are old enough to be left alone for the weekend these days, and
completely.
For example,
I think that's true, and I think you're absolutely right that parents are increasingly taking. We're definitely seeing that at shows like Hooky and Chameleons, where you've got, definitely the kids are going. It's without doubt, any doubt.
Yeah. I know maybe they're sort of looking at that sort of music and then comparing it to what they see on TikTok and then thinking, fucking hell, these are proper bands, that know what they're doing.
I kind of increasingly feel a little bit not guilty. I think that's the right word. I think I feel completely unaware of the top 20 now. I mean, I literally do.
I haven't got a clue.
I'm not embarrassed to say that. It's like stuff comes on and people I work with are talking about certain artists, and sometimes I'm going, I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a bloody clue. It's like, what? Who?
I mean, Luke's quite up on his music, but I wouldn't have a clue who's in the charts.
I don't know the chart stuff though. I know I'm up with more the underground stuff, but not with the chart stuff.
Yeah. I mean, oddly, I've probably got a greater level of awareness about kind of stuff like Daniel Avery and sort of like sort of more deeper sort of house dance stuff that's still still interesting, and stuff that appears on Six Music, like great band coming out of Manchester that my friends work with called Yang, and they're just like really exciting and really good and definitely one to watch. But you're like, and there is some brilliant new stuff out there, like band from Hull that I really like called BDRMM, who are just fantastic. Another band from Manchester who are brilliant called Ist. Work with a bit, and they're just great. So there's great music out there. It's just successful and charting in different ways. And hoping that those bands get some longevity. That's important.
Yeah. And going back to the whole nostalgia thing, do you think that we look at it with sort of rose-tinted spectacles, or do you think that sort of music was actually better, or it was just
hey, I think that everyone's got great experience. It's all about experience, isn't it? You associate music with experiences.
I think so.
Whether it was you sneaking behind a bike shed to have a fag because you like the Jam, or whether it was I don't know, dancing to a forest at a sixth form party. You associate. I'm a great believer in music associate with experiences, and whether
I agree. Yeah,
whether it's a certain song because you listen to it on a Walkman on the tube, or whether it was something you danced to with 4 of your mates at a gig at Bestcott Stadium. The thing is, it's all nostalgia. It has to be, because the two things have got to be linked. They're either very personal memories and nostalgia, people there. The most powerful are generally, I believe that music's the most powerful thing in the sense that it becomes an experience with you and your friends. I mean, my sins, I still follow the mission around the world, and that is embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. I love the mission. Honestly, guys,
not at all. Not at all.
But midnight hustle level stuff here. But the reason that we all do it is because it's social, it's experiential. And so you go for sort of 50% of the music and you hope to hear that song, but the other is to see people that you miss or you enjoy.
Sure. Yeah. Well, me and Neil went to our first gig together when we were 14, and now we're doing a podcast together. So, Neil, do you want to say who it was?
Senseless Things.
Oh, wow.
Senseless Things. Yeah. Senseless Things. Who else? Leatherface.
Leatherface.
Can't remember the other one.
I did the Senseless Things in I did show the Senseless Things in Hull Uni 93 or 94.
Yeah, see, that would have been sort of
that's our era. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. It was around the time of that Tube appearance, not Tube, Word appearance, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I was really chuffed because they were on TV, and I was like, hopefully that'll help ticket sales as a young, eager promoter,
Sure.
And I think
Did you?
I think I bought that.
Did you hang out with the band at all? We had Ben on his.
I very rarely done that because like always kept. I know it sounds a bit. Lots of promoters don't. Lots of promoters do. I always kind of personally kept a bit of a professional distance.
That's fair enough.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
So if you've been promoting for all this time in different venues across the UK, what's the state of live music at the moment? We hear a lot about like venues closing and bands are saying your ticket prices are too expensive and people can't afford to go out and stuff. I mean, what's the state of play at the moment?
I think it's quite tough. You're always going to have the hot shows that no one really worries about, and the self-interest of agents and artists, and without getting kind of political about it, there's the problem I see personally in the sort of UK is something that me and the people that I work with warned everyone in the industry about 15 years ago. We contributed to a commission, the competition commission, saying you want to be careful what you allow to happen to the UK music industry, and it was allowing national or multinational organizations to buy in at certain levels to different companies. And I am talking about Live Nation. Live Nation were acquiring more and more venue estates, and they are a promoter, and they also own the security companies, and they also own the ticketing companies, which loads of people don't realize. So it's in their interest to force the shows.
It's like a monopoly. Wow.
Well, it is. It's why the Monopolies Commission looked into it in 2009 and 10 and 11. Evidence was put forward and it wasn't taken seriously. And the venues a large proportion of the venues are owned by the key promoters, which was Live Nation, SJM Concerts, Metropolis, etc. So you're left in a situation whereby it's really tough to compete as an independent promoter, or so from a promoter's perspective, not so much an artist's perspective, you're competing against the big boys who've got large pots of money to play with. And it's not just Live Nation, but AEG have got similar situations where they've got interests in venues and artists and a promoter and a venue operator. But then what they did post that was they started buying the festivals and all of that infrastructure effectively. So not only have you got venue level stuff at 1,000 to 2,000 to 5,000 seats, they start buying into independent festivals. So acquiring with it Boomtown or acquiring everything else, and then acquiring companies that were doing quite well. So all the summer series that you see around the UK are all owned effectively by Live Nation. It might say Cuff and Taylor on the badge, but it's Live Nation. So all the independents now can't program their own festivals and their events because Live Nation will go, well, I'll give you 30 shows. You'll do this tour around the UK. it's difficult for venues that aren't inside those estates to survive. Ticket prices are pretty punchy. People are less liable at the moment, it seems, and I think most people would say this if you talk to most promoters and venues, is that the advanced ticket sales are much slower. There was a time in the mid-noughties where you could put shows on sale and they'd just sell out. I mean, I used to run Birmingham Academy. The speed of sales was scary. But now people go, I'll hang on. And then there's been this proliferation in the last couple of years of some promoters giving away tickets or venues giving away tickets really late on for absolutely no money.
Right.
If they're doing that, the only people doing that are the chains and the promoter-owned venues who are going, have a load of free tickets. Here's a £5 ticket when it was originally 35. So they're doing that, which means that because that word gets around, people go, well, I'm not going to buy a ticket. I'll wait till they're 5.
It doesn't help, does it?
So that's damaging. That's damaging. All of that is damaging the small venues.
Yeah, and the artists as well, I guess. Yeah,
and the artists, and I've got some good shows with people like the Anchoress, which is a really talented artist.
Oh yeah.
Really, she's a big supporter of Music Venues Trust, and really excited about doing a show with her in Cardiff in June. And there's a lot of artists giving support to Music Venues Trust, but hopefully, hopefully something will trickle down from the large event. I know it's about the levies to potentially support grassroots venues. Well, there's lots of levies in a lot of venues already called restoration levies. I question where the money goes, and maybe that restoration money that everyone has been charging for 2 or 3 years should go to grassroots venues. Maybe that's the way forward to save it. I mean, if we don't have that chain of venues, when I first promoted, there was so many venues you could go and put a gig on it. It was brilliant. Some of them weren't great, but they were certainly there. So I think if we don't have it, then where are the next Senseless Things coming from?
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
That's good.
But there's loads of talent out there. Not talking on a downer. There's loads of great venues out there. There's loads of great talent out there, and great people in the industry. So hopefully it will level out. Stuff comes in cycles. I've seen quite a lot change in 30 years. And hopefully in 30 years' time, we'll still have one of the most vibrant scenes in the world. It's massively important culturally, I think, to the UK.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, people like yourselves, you're still proving that you can put on independent festivals, and they can still be successful.
No, absolutely. I think it becomes sort of a year one in a festival. Sometimes if it's got no expectations, not that we haven't got any expectations, it's quite easy to program. When you get to kind of year 3 and 4, and you've dipped into that well already a couple of times, and people go, I don't want to see that band again. It's like, well, the thing is what you two both spotted earlier on, is that there does seem to be an increasing number of great bands who've decided to come back and do certain things. And there's some great artists out there that haven't even played live yet, like Emma, and I haven't seen any shows by yet, but Emma Anderson, who was in Lush.
Lush,
released an album.
It was a good album, right?
Great record. Love the album. Hopefully she's going to go and do some stuff. And then all right, that's a heritage, but more a heritage artist. I hate to say. But,
I'm not sure about that.
An older artist.
Yeah. All right, we've kept you a long time. So final question. We ask everyone we interview the same question. Which band from the 90s would you have liked to have been in, and why?
From the 90s?
Yeah.
God. Can they have formed in the 80s?
Yeah, go on. As long as they existed at some point in the 90s, you're all right.
Christ almighty, that's a tough one, that is. Christ, there's so many good bands. Oh no, I couldn't do that.
I can see the torment going on in your brain.
It's a proper on the spot moment. You're like going, oh God, will I be judged? Will I be judged?
You're going to offend so many people.
I'm going to say Perry Farrell. I'm going to say Jane's Addiction.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Great.
Just because I know two of the albums came out in the 80s.
That's good. That's fine. That's fine.
I look here, but I just thought Jane's is one of the best live bands and phenomenal from that.
Sure.
Yeah. Close call, because then you just go, well, should I be Liam Gallagher and just be really minted? But then you go, no,
sure.
No.
All right. And finally, then,
answer.
where can people get tickets and find that information and stuff?
I've not got this rehearsed or written down. So you can go to get tickets from either see tickets from the Marble Factory homepage, or just search a gigantic all DAYER online. We have obviously I've got the website there, and ticket links are on the main page, front page. And there are only 200 left, and it's going to be good. And get down early, because we will be doing the traditional gigantic raffle.
Ooh.
What's in that raffle, I haven't decided yet. But
okay.
It will be outrageous. We used to do a meat raffle.
Nice. Old school. I like it.
We were old school, and we were up north in Manchester. We used to do a meat raffle.
Right.
But I'm not sure. I'm having an internal debate with my own.
I don't think that'll go down well in the Green voting Bristol, to be honest.
Correct. I think that we'll maybe avoiding the meat raffle from the streets of Bolton, and going for something more appropriate in 2025.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate you giving us the time. I'm going to stop the recording, but don't escape just yet. One moment.
Thanks. Cheers, everyone.
Richard Maides, gigantic fest. Maides.
Sorry. Maides. Don't forget the S.
I didn't.
Or Maides.
Well, I did, but
I do think it's Maides. Maides.
You're overthinking it.
I am.
Maides. Like there's Maides.
As in the touch.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dave, did you enjoy that interview?
Yeah, it was a really nice guy. I enjoyed that one.
I think you say that's the same thing for everything.
Not when it's a woman.
Right. Okay.
Not that we have any female guests, of course. But
we should address that. We are really trying. It's not through lack of trying. It's just,
we talk about it every 50 episodes. We do.
Yeah. Well, I just thought I'd put it in there again.
We are, definitely. We're going to make a concerted... We said at the beginning of this year, actually, we're going to make an extra concerted effort to try
Luke's
even
the
harder
wokest person you'll ever meet, so there's no way
Oh, man,
it's
killing
trying.
me. It's killing me.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
I was intrigued about the venue of the festival, the Marble Factory.
I did my research on the Marble Factory.
I wanted to find out if it really was once a marble factory.
And
couldn't find out.
Here's a fact.
Thanks.
It's basically opposite Templemead Station. So it's a really good location.
Which I know where that is. Well, so it's a little bit out of the city centre, Templemeads. Yeah.
But if you're commuting in by train, perfect, isn't it? It's just by the station.
Yeah, there you go.
Looks good. Looks like a great venue. Quite big. And Bristol's a cool city, right? It's musically and culturally, it's a bit like Brighton in that respect.
Yeah, I think it is, and I think increasingly more so, maybe.
Brighton's been green for the last sort of decade or so, and I think Bristol's similar in its sort of outlook.
Yeah,
they both have green MPs, don't they?
Have they?
The only
Bristol
ones,
now
right?
as well. Oh, I didn't realise. Oh, yeah, they have, haven't they now? Yeah, so they have
Not
got
the only
green.
one of the few. Yeah,
but they do feel similar, because I used to go to Bristol quite a lot when I was going out with someone who went to university there. And there I've got a similar sort of vibe when you walk around.
Oh man,
Brighton's like Bristol, but it's sliced in half by the sea. It's got a beach.
Sure.
Yeah, I like Bristol though. It's nice. But musically, it's it's on the pulse of music. Always has been.
Yeah.
Also, like having the event, although it was in Manchester, which is another university city, I guess that helps in attracting sort of a younger audience to come along.
Mm.
Although, who at university can afford to go to something like that these days? They come out with about 200 grand's worth of debt. That's an exaggeration, I know. But a lot.
But what's another £100 for a festival in that case?
True.
That's true. That's
You
true.
might as well just pile it on.
Yeah.
Pile on the debt.
But maybe that will bring in some younger people. We were talking about it in the interview, though, weren't we? About the sort of the people that go to these gigs. Well, we've spoken about it before.
Mm.
But
I think young people now, the current generation, they don't hate their parents as much.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't hate our parents, but you wouldn't be seen dead going to a gig with them, would you?
I went to Status Quo with my old man.
I went to Reading with my mum and
Oh,
Guns N' Roses. Yeah.
Your mum was pretty cool.
That's true. That's true. Still is.
She still is. She's not dead.
You never went to a gig with your dad, Dave?
His head
No.
couldn't fit through the door.
That's what I was leading up to.
Oh,
You
man,
stole
sorry.
my
I'm sorry. Listeners, we're not saying this because Dave's dad has a big ego. He's literally got a massive head, second biggest in the RAF.
That's a fact.
Not quite a fact, but
as close as you're going to get on this podcast.
I don't know if youngsters, I guess they are sort of discovering these bands. Oh, yeah, because like my niece wears the Nirvana. I've said before, she listens to a bit of Nirvana now and again and stuff.
But
You
also, it's like, there's no guitar bands don't make the charts these days, basically, right? So
That's true.
there's no big guitar bands for them to go and see, like new ones. I mean, like young ones. So the only kind of ones that are slightly big are like the bands from the 90s. So if you're into guitar music, then you're gonna go, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. There are new guitar bands, but they're much harder to find. Yeah, they're not in the charts,
and they're not in like a festival together like that. So yeah, if you're into
the charts, yeah. Who listens to the charts anymore? Who cares anymore? It doesn't mean anything anymore, does it?
No,
does anyone listen to the charts?
I mean, I quite like every now and again I go through the list just to play about 20 seconds of each one and just try and find. There's often 1 out of 40 I like. Then I'd save it.
Yeah, it just used to be a big thing, didn't it? The charts, but I don't think it's anything anymore. I don't think it's important to. I don't think it's really that important.
Album charts still are, but singles charts aren't.
It's just a lot more ambiguous, isn't it? How to count. Back in the day,
that's true.
You just had to count the number of singles sold.
Yeah.
But even then, that wasn't quite true because they didn't count like the independent shops and all that kind of stuff. It was very selective how they did it. So yeah. Which is ironic considering people claim that no one listens to albums. It's the album charts that are much more important than the singles these days, which used to be the other way around. They fucking do. They buy them.
The single chart, I wouldn't have a clue. I just would not have a clue.
It's all featuring someone, innit?
Yeah.
Too many featurings for me.
Collabs.
I don't even think
collabs.
And I don't think that I think it just generally has become not as important anymore. I don't think that's just our age. I think that's just, it's not the same as it used to be, is it? And like you say, there's no bands in it. So it makes it kind of irrelevant.
If you're into guitar music, it does, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess people do listen to it. They still do it on the radio every week, don't they? But I don't know who listens to it.
Oh, there's a question you asked that I liked, and I don't think you've asked anyone else. You asked him what indie band was it that took you away from pop?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
like
the gateway.
Well.
I thought we could say what ours was.
So did I. Dave.
Okay.
Great minds, you see. Great minds. I was going to suggest the same feature. Let's do it.
Because the first vinyl I bought was Bros Push.
Nice.
It's all right.
But the first,
all right.
The first indie was REM, I think, and Suede.
Out of Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's even counts as indie, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's slightly alternative, I suppose.
I think it does.
Yeah,
I think it does.
Yeah.
So what are we doing first?
First indie, gateway bands.
Yeah.
Oh, we've gone about Def Leppard. They're not really indie, but they're
not a pop band. They're guitar music, right?
I think it was The Cure for me, because my brother used to listen to The Cure quite a lot. And
Fuck
the
off.
singles collection.
Gavin was never cool enough to listen to The Cure, man. Fuck off.
He listened to The Cure. He listened to some all right music. He got me into Depeche Mode and Talk, and he did listen to The Cure. I think it probably was that, though. I think it probably was. First actual album I bought, I can't remember. I can remember my first single I bought was Belinda Carlisle, Heaven is a Place on Earth.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah. Go on, Mr. Music
I've talked
Man.
about mine before. I think, the first album I bought was Bad, Michael Jackson. But definitely not indie. And I talked about it when we had Miles on, but it was the Wonderstuff. Never Loved Elvis for me. That was kind of pulled me in.
Yeah,
I'd Wonderstuff down as well.
Mm.
When I worked at Toucan's restaurant, we'd all have to have a go in the washing room, and then you'd
all have a go at each other in the washing room. What?
No, the wash up. You had to take on.
Is that what you call it?
Up.
You
didn't what in the washroom?
Is it like a foam party?
No, the wash
Naked
up room.
foam party.
What do you mean?
You had to do all the washing up for the restaurant.
Oh, the washing up. Okay.
The washing up. Yeah.
Right.
And then you got to put your own music on.
Right.
Okay.
In Australia, they call a washer-upper a dish pig.
I don't like that. I was a washer-upper for many years.
So was I. That was one of the best jobs I had.
Yeah, it was
I
brilliant.
was semi-retired then as well.
Yeah, you got to listen to your music. You didn't have to deal with the customers.
And, so you were sitting there, drifted, pumping away.
Drifted?
Not drifted.
Drifted?
What's it called? Lifted.
Lifted, that came much
Sorry
later,
for not knowing the name of the Lighthouse Family song properly.
Hang on a minute. I was listening to Pick of the Pops with Mark. No, what's his name? Who does it now on Radio 2? It was 1996. Mark Goodyear does it.
Yeah.
And Lifted came on.
Oh, mate.
Bet you turned that up, didn't you?
But thing is, I think it's a good song apart from the chorus.
Right.
It's got a really good verse. But anyway, I'm sure he said that the Lighthouse Family, they'd been around the early 90s, not having no success. But then they were taken on tour with Oasis and Paul Weller.
Yeah, Dave said, I don't think this is true. Dave reckons they toured with Oasis and Paul Weller.
All right, let me look that up. I'll check that. I'll check my sources. I'll let you know.
I can't have heard it right, surely.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it myself, but you could be right.
Anyway, where were we?
Paul Weller, I could kind of believe because I don't like. I think he's boring as shit as well. So
I just want to go back a little bit. So his Richard's first album, Midnight Hustle. So I looked it up.
Did you have a look
on Discogs? It's pretty good. I don't know what he's talking about. It's got Boney M, Brown Girl in the Ring, which is great.
Right. Yeah.
It's got ABBA, Name of the Game, Status Quo. I don't know the song though. Again and Again. It's got 10cc, Dreadlock Holiday, brilliant.
Oh, nice. That's a great song.
It's got Boomtown Rats on there. It's got Ian Jury. It's got Blondie, Darts. It's not bad at all.
I can't be embarrassed about that.
Yeah, there's a few bands that I don't know. I don't know High Tension with British Hustle. Sounds good though. Yeah. That's Midnight Hustle for any listeners that were wondering.
This year's lineup does look good though, doesn't it? In Spirals, previous guests, Neds, future guests, hopefully. Jim Bob, previous guests. Suit Dragons, again, hopefully. And Northside, hopefully.
All right. Make it happen.
Does look good. Neds are always good. Yeah, Jim Bob, lovely fella, great live. And in Spirals, they were great when I saw them last as well. Be a good day out.
He describes himself as a football casual. What's your image of a football casual?
I just think Alan Partridge when he said sports casual. That was his
That's good.
favourite.
I know.
Clothing.
I'm picturing like a geezer with like sovereign rings and fucking Burberry cap and all of that. No, and or maybe like Sergio Tacchini tracksuit or something if it's the 80s. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
something like
possibly.
that.
Yeah, possibly.
That was on Bullseye as well. One of the guests, is a warehouse man, is how he described himself. And he's like, so Jim's like, what's in your warehouse? He's like, clothing. He's like, okay, what's coming in at the moment? He's like, shell suits. And Jim's like, what's that then? He's like, they're like a light tracksuit. They're coming in at the moment. And Jim's like, okay. That was it, man. Start a shell suit.
I had a shell suit.
They're going to come back, aren't they?
Unironically.
I'm sure cool kids wear them shell suits. They must do. There must be people in Brighton wearing shell suits.
Yeah.
There must be.
Yeah.
Impractical. They ripped really easily, didn't they, shell suits?
Never had one.
Didn't
Too
have one.
expensive. Couldn't afford a shell
I
suit.
had one.
Yeah.
I got one from Kay's catalogue, I think.
Yeah.
So my mum used to buy a lot of our clothes.
Used to.
One-dayers versus weekend festivals.
I like the idea of having a one-day festival though, because you can have
Yeah.
all of the bands in one day,
Yeah.
and then you can go home and put your feet up at the end of the day and not have to deal with all of that nonsense. So it's great.
Not if you stay for Bez.
That's
that was
true.
all night, wasn't it?
That you are
Yeah.
not getting up for work the next day, are you?
No, sirree.
Good old Bez, eh?
Hey.
His band, going back to his original band, they had like 3 guitarists. And which got me thinking, can you think of any bands with 3 guitarists? And I could only think
It's
of...
not all linked to Main Street, is it?
No.
Fucking hell.
You see, I wasn't even going to mention, no, 2, strictly 2. But yeah, and I was trying to think. And the only
Shadows?
one, have they got 3
Right.
guitarists?
They all play
Dunno,
guitar, right?
maybe not.
One of like Ventures. They must have like 3 guitarists.
I know that occasionally Eddie Vedder plays guitar in Pearl Jam. So for those songs, I guess they've got 3 guitarists.
Mm,
GNFR had 2, right?
Yeah, 2.
yeah.
Yeah, 2. Yeah, I think it's quite rare. You don't need 3 for much, do you? What would you need 3 for?
Rock.
Isn't enough, is there?
Yeah. One of the bands I saw on Saturday night, they had 2 bassists and 1 guitarist.
Yeah, see, I like that. I think more bands should do that.
That's good.
Could you hear any difference? Like,
You know me, I can't hear I don't know the difference between anything. Yeah, they were playing different stuff.
It's like Neds,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Neds have got 2 bass players, and you can definitely hear it.
Although it was a 5-string bass.
I
One-
don't,
the
yeah,
other
I
one.
don't know what.
And it didn't have a head as well. You know, those like headless.
What, the person playing it?
fucking hell.
See, this
Been
is where
weird.
that guy was saying about the comedy aspect of the podcast.
Pure comedy. That's it, right there. No, it was a good one.
Yeah.
Neil.
White whales.
White whale. It's a fucking.
That's embarrassing.
That is no. I was listening back to that, and I was like, no, this is a normal phrase.
Dave. Well, let's ask Dave if he
I'll
knows.
GPT
Then.
it.
No. But have you heard it, Dave? Without
No,
GPT?
go on. Ask Chat. You haven't heard
See?
it.
Dave
You
said
are.
no.
Okay, wait. Ask Chat GTP. Go on.
I haven't read
But he
Moby
hasn't
Dick,
heard
though.
it.
You don't have to read Moby Dick.
Oh, I know Moby
It's just a
Dick.
phrase, isn't it? Don't read my dick.
Well, it's not. 3 of the people you've given this phrase to have said they've never heard it. 3 out of 3.
Yeah. Illiterate.
Well, GPT agrees with Luke.
Not you, Richard. Not you, Richard.
It's used metaphorically to describe an object, goal, or pursuit that becomes an overwhelming obsession.
Booyakasha. Fuck you. Not you, Richard.
That's not how you used it.
Yes,
It
I
kind of-
did.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a
it
big
kind
band
of
you
was.
keep pursuing and you really want to get them on, but you can't quite
Oh, yeah.
land it.
No, fair enough. That's
I
right.
think
Thank
you just
you,
threw that in
thank
to
you.
try and be clever, though.
I really thought it was a normal phrase, and I
Well, that's what people you hang around with, saying stuff like that.
You both
Different
try and
to
be
our
clever,
lot.
but Luke succeeds.
Yeah.
and that's the difference.
He didn't succeed that time, though, did he? He got too clever, didn't he? Got too clever. And
There you go,
alienated the
that's true.
guest.
I know. I
Oh, yeah.
apologise. You're right. I apologise. I got above my station, and I take it back. Before that, though, I'm taking you up on something, Neil. You always claim that you're a goth. I've always been a goth, you said that. What the
True.
You have not.
I've always
You've-
been a
It's
goth.
bullshit. You have
I'm a goth
not
now.
for a second. You're not. You got a black
talking-
t-shirt on today, though.
we were talking about our gateway band, and The Cure, wasn't it? I've always been a goth.
True.
You've liked goth music.
You like The Cure.
Yeah, probably is just The Cure, isn't it? Which is like quite mainstream, but goth at best, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, that's probably more. I like The Cure.
That's enough, though, man. I take
You've
it back.
never even
You've
worn
always
any
been a goth.
makeup, have you?
I went to see him, and I put some eyeliner on.
That's
once.
right. Yeah.
That was about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've always liked the
All right.
idea of being a goth. Maybe that's it.
But yeah,
So
he was saying a
pretended that I
similar
was
thing,
one.
wasn't
Yeah.
he? He liked the seeing the music, but didn't go the whole way and dress up like that.
It is a real commitment. You got to walk around in like black coats in the summer and stuff. Just not for me.
You have to. Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
It's
have
not
to.
for
I know.
me.
Yeah.
Trench
Yeah.
coats. You
Yeah.
have to.
Well, you know, in the Matrix, are they goth?
Well, it's kind of a goth style, isn't it?
Are they
With the-
emos?
With the long coats.
Is it more emo?
I've never seen. And look, this is a bit like Luke's never seen Star Wars thing, but I've never seen The Matrix.
No, have I?
No,
What?
I never watched
But
it.
here's the
Brilliant.
thing. Last year, maybe, or the year before, I really tried to watch it. 5 times I started watching it. I fell asleep every time.
It's
And I
not
never
meant
got
to
to the end
be.
of it.
Not meant
I
to
just
be.
wanted to be. Every time I fell asleep.
I've never
And
even started
it's
watching it.
boring. I've seen like half an hour of it.
No, I've
It's
never
good.
seen it.
Just fell asleep.
Maybe I need to give it a go. Luke, you should give Star Wars a go.
Star Wars can fuck off.
I'm going to make you watch it. I'm going to sort of book a screening, a private screening for me, you and Dave to go watch Star Wars.
Yeah, let's do it.
But like all of them.
Why don't you get your
all
Stormtrooper
9.
mates from the Ash video shoot?
All right,
It could be
yeah.
like in A Clockwork Orange, where they sort of force his eyes
Hey,
open,
yeah.
make him watch it.
Oh God, it's just childish fucking
I
nonsense.
was doing a bit of just, going around YouTube trying to find something to watch yesterday, and I ended up watching like a bit of Scum. Forgot how good that was.
Oh, that is good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, with what's his name?
Ray Winston.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
And
is
it's got
good.
Phil Daniels in it as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you reckon Bolster was I like that?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, can I put Ball Still Breakout by Sham 69 on the playlist?
Stick it on there.
Oh man, great tune.
A band that keeps coming up quite a lot, but we haven't really spoken about, the Chameleons. Have you heard
Yeah.
much of their stuff? I think they're
No.
really good. I've listened to a few of their tracks, but they do come up a lot, and they're quite. I've said this already about another band, so I don't want to repeat the words. They're held
Go
in
on.
quite high esteem amongst people.
Let's say they're influential.
Yeah, be good to get them on. I've tried, but they come up a lot. I'd like to see them because I have heard a few of their tracks and they're good.
You wouldn't be able to though,
Why?
because Chameleons.
More comedy. More comedy. Yeah, I get it.
Hang on, I didn't even get it.
Well, they're comedians. You can't
They're
see 'em,
chameleons.
can
They're
you?
blended into their surroundings, so you can't see them. You're like a. I'll get my coat.
No, I liked it. I found his chat on, and he knows. He's a really good person to talk about it too, about the Live Nation thing, and then being a monopoly. And I didn't know a lot of that stuff. That's
Same.
Well, I did, but I
Mm,
didn't. I didn't know they'd taken over a lot of the festivals, which is interesting.
And they
Yeah.
take
Is
over
it-
every aspect of it, That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Is
Mm.
Ticketmaster linked to them as well, or is that a different? That's some massive American company, isn't it?
I think they're
Mm.
just rival businesses, but they're probably the same business model, though. Yeah, they just
Just
take over
despise
everything.
that company.
And they just make shit up, don't they? Just make
Evil.
up charges out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like Robert Smith, because I'm a bit of a goth.
I
So
know.
follow
You always
Robert
have been.
Smith, yeah.
Mm.
So, but he was talking about it. He's like, no, I don't want you to. It goes, we've told you how much we want to charge. Then that's it. We don't want. That's it. And he had to go to their offices and sort of sit down with them and go, I don't know what you're talking about. Where did this come from and that come from? He said, this is it. You can put on a little bit for admin, but then that's it. Yeah. And then eventually.
And they backed down, didn't they? Yeah.
They did, yeah. He was like, yeah, they were just putting on all this money for nonsense that they hadn't agreed to or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Criminal. That's what it is.
And like he said, they did warn everyone about monopolising music, and people didn't listen. And
it's interesting. He said, and they've kind of, he said now they're kind of buying up the independent companies as well, which is what the record labels did in the 90s, right?
Exactly what they did, yeah. And
they still look like they're independent, promotion company, but they're not, you know.
Yeah, these indie festivals that like people are really fond of because they're independent festivals, and a lot of it's just a lie. It's awful. But there was the positive thing out of all of it, you know. He's running an independent festival that's doing really well, so it can be done. So
yeah, and he's putting on the gig with EMF and Jesus Jones and Biss. Oh man, that'd be a great show.
I'm going to try and get along.
3 great bands. Oh man, get there early for Biss, man.
Yeah, we'll do if we get a ticket.
I was just going to ask if you've ever been to a meat raffle.
I think they do them down the Legion. I think my mum and dad.
When did that come up?
He said at their first gigantic all-dayer there, because they have a raffle every year. But the first year they had like a meat raffle, I think.
Dave, have you ever been to a meat raffle?
No, I haven't.
Well, maybe you should have one in the Berwick.
Yeah, have a Berwick meat raffle. That's the kind of thing that would go
part
down
of the bingo night. You could have a meat raffle.
Oh, but those lot of swingers, aren't they? They'll probably think it's like something else they've been invited to, won't they? Yeah, don't
especially
bother.
If it's got the like beef on offer or something. They'll
exactly.
You know.
Yeah, the kind of meat raffle they're used to. They're going to be disappointed. Yeah. There was a band called Meat Raffle a few years ago. I quite liked them at the time.
Not a good name, was it?
They had an album called Bastard Music. That was the album title.
Put it on the playlist.
I will.
But no, I haven't been to a meat raffle for a while.
Not for a while.
Maybe we should have one on here. Don't know
how would that work?
Don't know.
It's not really core to our, the core themes of the podcast, is it?
No, it's not.
It's a bit of a detour.
Perhaps, but we do go on quite a lot of detours, so that's the point.
True. There might be a detour too many though. Holding a live meat raffle.
Once we can got enough followers on TikTok, we'll go live and do a meat raffle. There you go.
All right. Sure.
Dave's probably got some nice meat he can raffle off in his larder.
We don't eat a lot of meat.
Oh yeah, your son's
vegetarian.
Vegetarian, isn't he? So you'll do a lot of that.
Good man.
That's good.
Good man.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. As an ex-vegetarian, I don't eat too much meat either.
But you weren't just a vegetarian because of that, the girl you were going out with at the time.
We've been over this. It was mainly music. Well, it's mainly music that inspired that. Like most things in life.
Similar timeline to you going out with her and you being vegetarian.
Yeah, I mean, there may have been a slight influence. Sure.
He had a big sausage the moment it ended, didn't
he? He did, in anger.
In many ways.
In her face.
He went and got a fucking hot dog. Fuck you.
That's not true at all. I stayed vegetarian long after the relationship had
You're
exploded.
Trying to keep it up for just to dispel the rumours. Even though you really wanted a bacon sandwich.
Listeners.
Anyway.
I was going to say it's not true. It's half true.
Yeah. All right. That's it for this one. Thanks, Richard, for coming on. Enjoyed that chat. Good luck with the festival. And if you haven't already got a ticket, then I'll put a link in the show notes. Go and have a look. Get yourself a ticket. Might see you there. If you are watching this, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Get us to that 1,000 subscriber mark. And then you can see what happens when we get to there. If you're listening, try and leave a review. But it seems like it's quite a arduous process, so just do what you can. Share it with your mates. Don't just get the word arduous in there.
Yeah,
never used that word before in my life.
Good on you, man. I'm proud of you.
Download the Stupid app. If you're on Android, you won't be able to, but you can send us an email and get in Dave's Android gang.
If you're new to the podcast, welcome. And loads of the bands that have been at Gigantic, we've also got interviews with, so dig into the archives. A lot of the bands we talked about today, there's interviews to have a look. I also make a playlist, or a mixtape, as we call it, for every episode. So loads of the bands that Richard talked about will be on there. So yeah, give it a listen.
That's it for this one. Join us for episode 81 for the Stupid and Contagious podcast next week. Dave?
See you in a minute.